Hey everybody, and welcome to my smart home. Today we're going to take a look at the brand new presence sensor from Aqara, the FP2. This is a presence sensor unlike anything you've ever used before in terms of a motion sensor or occupancy sensor. So let's talk about the difference. First of all, you probably have all experienced a motion detector or motion sensor at some point, such as the one on the wall up top there for my alarm system. And its job is to simply detect when someone walks into the room, and of course, if I'm not home, set off the alarm. That's pretty much it. If you've used a motion sensor for smart home stuff, what you probably have run into is the problem we all have run into, and that is it's not doing a good job of knowing you're still there if you're not moving. So if you're just kind of sitting still for not even a long period of time, we've all seen the lights go off, and then we're waving our hands trying to get the lights to come back on. And that's the problem with motion or PIR motion sensors or motion detectors. Now, next step up, which I've got motion sensors around the house for what they do best, I've also got occupancy sensors. So occupancy sensors, I've got some from Ecobee, I've got some from Lutron Caseta, and they're great because they do a better job of knowing you're still in the room. So they don't turn off the lights usually if you're in the room unless you're sitting very still for an extended period of time. And I kind of think the way they do this is really their Achilles heel, is that they're not good at detecting when you left. So for example, I'll see rooms that show an occupancy, even though I know the room's empty, for 15 to 20 minutes after the room was emptied, because I think, again, it's just trying to make sure you're still there even if you haven't moved for a while. So occupancy sensors are not that accurate for really determining if someone is still in a room. So that's what leads us to the Aqara, the FP2 sensor. Now, this is next level up. So just think about if motion and occupancy sensors are here, the Aqara is here. That's the difference. And what's really unique about it is it's using millimeter wave technology to not only determine if someone's in the room or not, but to actually know how many people are in the room, because it can support up to 5 people, where they are in the room, when they're moving around, what area, what specific spot they are in the room. And because of that, you can create up to 30 zones with 320 cells. So that you can make multiple cells to make a zone, so up to 320. So it's very precise at not only knowing someone's in the room, but knowing where they are. And unlike motion detectors and more like occupancy sensors, it's designed to know you're still there even if you're not moving a lot for long periods of time. So if you're sitting in a chair reading a book, you're not really moving a lot, it will still know you're there. And then as soon as you leave, unlike occupancy sensors, it knows you've left. So that's the beauty of it. Now, what do you get in the box? So these are designed to be wall mounted or ceiling mounted. Now it also has fall detection, so it can detect when someone's fallen, and if that's what you want to mount it on the ceiling. Now it also needs constant power, so it comes with a 2 meter, 6 foot USB-C, because there's a USB-C port under the sensor, and USB-A on the other end. It does not include the power supply. You need to supply your own USB power. My complaint there would be that I wish it had come with a USB-C to USB-C, because that's where I'm going with everything. So I actually replaced both cables in both my sensors with USB-C to USB-C and longer versions of them, and they're plugged into power strips that have a USB-C port built right into the power strip. I'll put the link to that as well in my description at the bottom with the sensor. It also supports Wi-Fi without the need of a hub. So if you're buying one and you don't have the Aqara Hub, you don't need it. You just basically take it out of the box, download the Aqara app, set it up in the app, and connect it to your 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi. With that said, it's native HomeKit. So the minute you set it up, during the setup process, you actually scan the HomeKit code, which is a sticker right on the bottom of it, and it adds it as a presence sensor in HomeKit. But that's not where the fun is. The fun is actually going through the process in the Aqara app. And I say fun, I mean kind of a chore, depending on your take of fun. But setting it up in the Aqara app and defining zones and areas where it can be very precise at what you're actually wanting to automate. So unlike a typical motion or occupancy sensor that just says, hey, turn on the light when someone walks in, turn off the light when they walk out, this one can actually say, turn on this lamp when someone sits in this chair. Close this curtain when someone gets off this particular sofa by the window. Hey, when someone lays on the left side of the bed, turn that light on. When someone lays on the right side of the bed, turn that light on. When they get up out of bed, turn either one of those lights off or start their morning routine depending on the time of day. So you could get very, very creative with your automations depending on what you're trying to accomplish. Now I set up some simple test automations just to show you guys how it worked. So I did set up the bed example because I thought it was kind of cool that it could decide it's precise enough to divide the bed in half, and you know, one person sleeps on one half, one person sleeps on the other half, and you can control different lights and scenes based on that person being in or out of the bed. So when my wife gets up in the morning and takes the dogs out, she usually gets up very early, and I have some lights turn on her side of the room, very dim, but she can still see in order to get ready and get out. And then I have another automation that turns off those lights as soon as she leaves that particular room. So very cool, and that only happens between certain hours of the morning. I don't want those lights coming on all during the day. But the automation that I'm most proud of is the one that I configured for my Peloton bike. I love my Peloton bike, love to use it, and I have a workout scene created that turns on lights, turns on the ceiling fan, sets my Ecobee thermostat to a cooler temperature. It also, I use a SwitchBot to turn on the fan that's located right next to the bike, and that's great. But when I first set it up, I was like, oh my God, it's triggering too fast, and too fast when you walk away. So even if you walk by the bike, it was turning everything on. You walked away from the bike, it was turning everything off, and I wanted something with a little bit more of a delay. So I set it so that, hey, unless I'm in that area for at least 20 seconds, don't do anything. Basically an if-then automation shortcut. So that way, if I just walk over and grab my shoes to put on, nothing happens because I wasn't in the area long enough. But once I get my shoes on, get ready to go, and then come back and stand by the bike or get on the bike, 20 seconds later, all the lights, air conditioning, fan, ceiling fan, all that kicks on, and then I can do my workout. Now, same thing. When I leave the bike, I don't want it to instantly turn everything off because maybe I only left for a second. Maybe I went to go grab something. I'm coming right back. So I set a delay for that. I think it's either 5 or 10 seconds, so it just doesn't trigger an off the minute I walk away. Now, with all of that said, this is just mind-blowing. Again, the ideas you can come up with. Someone sits on a sofa in a theater area and the TV comes on. They leave that area after a certain amount of time, the TV turns off. So anything that you have in your HomeKit, scenes or accessories can theoretically be automated based on presence in a particular area of the room. So even this one that I set up as again, another example, a sofa in the same room, further that's near another window. If you come near that window or that sofa and sit down, the curtain opens. If you get up and leave that area, the curtain closes. Only during the day though, because I don't want it doing all that at night. So again, you can be as creative as you want to. Now with all of that said, if you're looking for a great presence sensor, this is it, but it's not perfect, nothing is. So here's some things I found that I wish were better and I think will be improved over time. Although it's great for knowing that you're still there, I have had a couple of occasions where I've been like maybe watching a movie for a couple hours and it did forget I was there. So I sat still long enough to where, and it's not supposed to do that, it forgot I was there. So that can happen. It doesn't happen often, but it can happen. The other thing, and that's not, because I think that's just that'll continue to be tweaked via firmware updates, but the thing that's driving me crazy, and again, you only have to deal with it once or twice, and that's setting it up in the app is a little cumbersome. They can change that experience to be a little bit better, and since it only has a 120-degree field of view, I set mine up in a corner. But if you look at the screenshot in the app, it's always showing you a sensor on the wall, not in the corner, and there's no way to change it. Now, again, it's just a picture of the sensor. It doesn't change anything. You can certainly put it in the corner and configure all your zones like I did from an angle from the corner. but it would be nice if it accommodated in the app, knowing that it's a corner and therefore adjusting all the zones accordingly. Other than that, you want to keep it mounted at least 6 feet high. It can be mounted anywhere, it can be table mounted, but again, wall mounted. Now, because it's constantly powered, that means there's going to be a USB cord hanging from it no matter what. I can't stand cords hanging on the wall. I wish it were battery operated, but I get that it's probably going to drive me crazy if it was battery operated and I had to change the batteries every week or charge it every week. That would be a drag as well. So I've luckily found 2 places where I can mount it where you don't see the cord, like this one's inside the lamp. You don't see the cord coming down. The other one upstairs is behind the cord goes behind a dresser, so you don't see it. It's up on top of a tall dresser. So there's creative ways you can get around the cord showing. Some people will just mount it in a corner, like maybe under existing motion detectors, and maybe use a channel for the cord so it's not as visible. Now, with all of that said, there's nothing better. Like, this is it right now. If you want that kind of control over your scenes and automations based to be very accurate, this is it. Now also, I put the link to the sensor in the description, as well as the power strip I talked about, just in case you need one. And with that said, we'll catch you on the next one. Cheers, everybody.